We are always wise and we are always ignorant, simultaneously. Both our wisdom and ignorance are greater than we recognize. Our wisdom is integrated within our being, and our ignorance holds the potentiality of our becoming. So we might think of our wisdom as the mountain of our beingness, and our ignorance as the sky or even cosmic space. The greater our mountain, the greater our capacity for expansion. Now, this part's important. By wisdom, I do not mean the knowledge of facts. Knowledge is just that, knowledge. And knowledge is often an aspect in the cultivation of wisdom, but it is not the whole of wisdom itself. What I mean by wisdom is the totality of our integrated learning and understanding, and especially our capacity for the prudent application of those understandings toward our functional beingness. By ignorance, I do not mean the harm to the self or others that can come along with ignorance. No. That involves things like malice, false superiority, hatred for self and others. What I mean by ignorance is simply that pure and neutral place of the unknown, of not knowing, of not understanding, of the unexperienced, of the unexplored, within and without of ourselves. With both wisdom and ignorance, I'm referring to the purity of these and not the distortions and derangements that can come along with either. All right, so we're always wise and we're always ignorant. Here's my proposal. Can we meet the vastness of our wisdom with awe? A-W-E, awe. Can we meet the vastness of our ignorance with a gleeful curiosity? Wee-hee! I'm proposing this because it is from our experiential wisdom that we exist, that we are our beingness. And it is from our subjective ignorance that we are always becoming. When we discover a wisdom within ourselves, that moment of realization is an exquisite moment of hallelujah. When we discover an ignorance within ourselves, this becomes a moment of wild potentiality. And either of these moments of realization of a wisdom or an ignorance, either of these moments opens us up to an expansive paradox. Okay? So paradoxically, when we recognize our wisdom, our perceptual lens opens up to some facet of our ignorance, and it is usually, hopefully, in the moment that we realize, recognize, become aware of some facet of our ignorance that we are coming into learning anew, a learning that will eventually become an embodied wisdom. When we discover facets of our wisdom, and when we discover facets of our ignorance, deeper pathways are opening up to us right at that moment. Pathways to deepen our beingness into our expansive becoming. Both are valuable, both are desirable, both are necessary. So, try not to cloud yourself with all that you think that you know. Try not to cloud yourself with all that you think that you should know. And try not to worry too much over what you now know but didn't know at some previous point of your personal evolution. So try not to cling too hard to whatever you know as your wisdom or ignorance. And maybe take yourself, your known self, I really should say, your known self, as you are in this moment, with all of your known wisdom and all of your known ignorance. And be okay with you. This is not to say that we ought to avoid reflection. Absolutely not. Reflection, introspection, and application are mechanisms of integration, and are especially useful in our personal evolution. So reflection, introspection, and application are functional mechanisms in the alchemical process. This helps us to synthesize our experiences, knowledge, and ignorances into powerful wisdoms that code into and create the very fabric of who and what we are at any given moment. Also, how we see the world, which I find to be super important. Okay, so yes, reflect, introspect, and apply through a lens of not just neutrality, although you can, but if you will, through a lens of ease with yourself and an exhilaration with the process of existence. And maybe, if you can, revel in awe at all the wisdom that you are, and dance with delight at the pathways illuminated by realizing your own facets of ignorance, especially at those pathways that are compelling you into the blossoming of your magnificent existence.